Hello, everyone. This is Aria Craig, your empowerment and leadership strategist for single, divorced, and blended moms. And I'm coming on as I do for my weekly broadcasts on Periscope and on Facebook Live. And I come on around 7 o'clock. I'll only be a few minutes. Hi, guys. I see we have a couple of guys watching. So I'm actually just going to give my little few-minute spiel on the Illinois child support law. I had to do some research because it sounds like it's a little bit confusing. I was I was listening to the AC Green show when he had this as his topic. If it wasn't last Sunday, then it was the Sunday before. Just trying to figure out how people are going to take to it, what their thoughts were, how their lives are going to change in support of or in effect with this law. And I think that when I came in, like at the last maybe half an hour, and I was trying to see if I could call in, and I'm telling you, if I had known he was going to be talking about this, I probably would have asked to be on the show. Because I'm kind of like divided with it, because I heard the responses from the moms was pretty strong, and they were pretty much in a joint consensus about, you know, how they felt. They didn't feel like it was going to be beneficial to them. A lot of them, to me, the ones that I heard were single moms, and the dads really weren't doing anything. And you know, I'm sitting there with my husband, so I'm kind of listening to it from a different point of view, because I'm always thinking about what's in the best interest of the child. I'm not thinking about what the mother can gain from it, what the father can gain from it. I call myself and I term myself as a co-parenting expert, because I can tell you for 18 years how I've succeeded with successfully co-parenting with my son's father. So, and it's been a struggle. And you'll hear about that later on, and actually within the next coming days, you're going to hear about some of my struggles. And if you get my book, The Single Mother Diaries, then you will hear part of my struggle, but you will also hear how it takes a very strong and you have to be at a certain level of maturity to learn how to co-parent with the other parent when you two have issues, when there's some bitterness, when there are feelings that have been hurt, when there's anger. It's almost like you have to learn how to forgive and move forward. And that's some of the things that I'm going to talk about and what I'm going to do later on, which I'm going to bring up later on with my 10-day challenge. So I don't know if you all read up or did any research on the new Illinois child support law, which went into effect on July 1st. But I had to write notes because I had to go through, because I read a couple of different resources. So it may actually be in your best interest, if you are paying child support, or if you're a non-custodial parent, or if you are a custodial parent, to call the Illinois child support line. And honestly, I don't know what's going on, because y'all know Cook County is slow. My child support cases in Cook County, they are very slow. I don't know what's going on, but I didn't have to hold any more than 20 minutes today. I don't know if it was because it was Tuesday morning or what. I know not to call on a Monday. Never call on a Monday. I don't know if they've really made some adjustments in fixing up their department with handling the volume of calls of people asking questions, particularly around this time we're trying to understand a new law. But they picked up today. I didn't get a lot of confirmation as to where I wanted to go, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. So it might be one of those, might benefit you to either call the Illinois Child Support Division or call the 800, I think it's 800-474, I can't remember the number. Call them or speak to an attorney, because a lot of attorneys, when they want your case, they will give you a complimentary session to discuss your case. So you might want to call them and pick their brains about how this new law is going to impact you. But just to give you a little bit of a breakdown for what I understood the law to say. So there's like a two-parter with the law. From the way that I understand it, it's going to, you know, how the way they calculated it before for Illinois was more so, it's taking into account the non-custodial parents' their income, so their net income. And the one thing that I have said before, and I talk about this in my book, whether you are, and I'm coming from the perspective of a person who was a single mother. I'm now a blended mother. So I'm not coming to support single mothers. I'm coming to support parents that are co-parenting. So if this is you, or if it's the reverse, if you are a single dad, because I know a few single dads that are taking care of their children and they have issues with the mother not providing the care. And I've seen that, and it's heartbreaking on both ends. But the way the old law was with the non-custodial parent, they were taking the net income, the percentage, taking a certain percentage of your net income depending on how many children you have with the mom. So, or you have, period, I should say. So, if you had, like, say, for instance, and when I say net income, I say past your taxes, your 401ks, whatever it is that comes out of your check first, and then whatever your net is after it's being deducted from your gross income, they will take the net. And I know people who are not, again, I talked about this in my book, I know people who would do everything to hide that money to make their net income lower to pay less child support. Like, they would put more money into their 401ks. They would just put more money in some type of before tax income, so that they wouldn't have to pay so much in child support. So I talk about that in my book. Again, if you're a single mother, single father, you have to look at those loopholes. When you're looking, when the attorney goes and he's going to get the check stub of the non-custodial parent, you need to be looking at the check stub if they're going to show you, and looking to see what those deductions are before you get to the net. But that was before, and it was to where at one child they were taking out 20%, for 2 children 28%, for 3 children 32%, 4 children 45%, and 5+ children 50% of the net income. Now what they're doing is they are looking at it as if, how much would it be to take care of this child if both of you all were in the same household, whether you're married or you were never married, you were just in a relationship and you had this child. Whatever it was at that point, to where whatever that amount of money was going to be, to how much it would cost to take care of this child with both of you all's income if you were in the same household, that's how they're going to pretty much calculate it. And they're going to include the additional expenses like the child care, health insurance. Before, the non-custodial parent was supposed to be paying for the health care insurance, but now what they're doing is holding both parents responsible. So if, for instance, if the amount that it took to take care of the child with both parents' income in the household, say if it was $20,000 a year, and the dad made 40% of that 20% income, and the mom made 60% of that 20% income, that child support is going to be based off of that percent. So if he made less and you made more, if you're the mom, you made more and the dad made less, it's going to be off of that percentage that he made, that he's going to be responsible for. And what you're going to be responsible for is the percentage that you made out of that amount that they calculate that it would be if you guys had a combined income in that household. Now, it gets a little tricky when you start talking about the shared parenting, because that's when they go into how many days each child is going to spend, with the parent. So the way that I read it, if the child spent 146 days or more, which is 40% of the days in the year, overnight with that parent, then the parents can go in to figure out, well, they're going to calculate how much time is spent with the child spends with the non-custodial parent. I think they're going to times it by 1.5% and then base it again off of the income with that family structure if both you all were in the household. It gets tricky. So if you're one of those parents where your children are coming over and spending time with you, the time is being divided between both parents, it would be in your best interest to start trying to figure out and calculate how that works on your behalf in terms of what you're going to start being charged or having to pay for child support. I had some thoughts on both sides, and please don't get offended with my comments. Please don't get offended with my thoughts. I'm trying to come again from a direction of what's in the best interest of the child. So some of you all know me. You're on Facebook now, and I'm trying to not read through the comments just yet, the post just yet. I'm going to respond to the post after I end, because I really want to get through this so I can make sure I'm capturing people's attention as much as possible. So the questions that you should be asking are, what if that parent is not working? How is that going to impact? Like if we're talking about the percentage of income that this person has to pay, opposed to what I have to pay, what if this person decides that they're not going to work anymore? I can tell you from firsthand experience, if you read my book, you will know that my son's dad did everything that he could to not pay child support. Now I have to get an attorney. I had to do it the smart way. I had to hire an attorney to go through the back route. But when it was just me going through with the state's attorney, which, again, Cook County is very slow, it was him trying to figure out how he could not pay child support, because in his mind, when my son would go there over to his house over the summers and the weekends, he was providing child support. He was providing the care, the food, clothes, everything, which he was. I would never say that he wasn't. He was doing that. But then when he comes home for the week, I'm providing everything else. I'm providing the child care, the aftercare, have to take off to work whenever he got sick. Any of his extracurricular activities, I was taking care of that. And, we're talking about coming in from work, being tired, having to fix meals, having to clean food, having to clean clothes, having to help with homework. All of that is in consideration. We're talking about the care of the child. It's not just I'm doing all the work, helping with the homework and the projects and going to get the materials and taking off of work when he's sick, this, that, and the other. And then when he goes with you for the weekend, he gets to have fun. That's not how any of this works. So, but at the same time, at the end of the broadcast, I want to talk to you about how you can manage through that so that your child gets the best experience from both parents. So the questions, again, you should be asking. I wrote them down, so please forgive me, because I wanted to make sure that I captured it in my mind. So if you are paying child support, or if you are a custodial parent, these are questions that you should be asking. What if the non-custodial parent is not working? Or what if he or she decides not to work because he knows that if he's not getting, if he's getting a certain level of amount of income, if he knows that you're going to get paid more money, then he can basically reduce his amount if he wanted to, or she if she wanted to. Again, what if he or she is avoid getting a job? What if he or she is married? I'm going to speak from my experience. What if he is married and the wife is providing the income for him? For state of Illinois, what used to happen, which I don't know if anybody knew about this, but if the non-custodial parent was not working and the custodial parent was, that custodial parent was the income for, if the non-custodial parent was not working and he was married, the wife, the spouse's income would be considered his income, because he's basically getting support or whatever, finance or whatever, from the wife. And you know that once you get married, your income is basically the same. So I don't know how that's going to be now, or how that's going to take into account now if they would consider the spouse if the non-custodial parent is not working. That's another question that you want to ask. What if he's hiding income? I talked about that earlier in the broadcast. If he's hiding income, again, I talk about in my book, The Single Mother Diaries, my son's dad was working for his brother-in-law and getting paid cash under the table. So, of course, he's not reporting income to child support, and they don't see income. So as far as they're concerned, he doesn't have anything to provide. And again, that's when you need to go get, if you can, save up your dollars to go and do your research to find you a good reputable attorney that can go in and start looking at bank accounts, start holding them accountable any kind of way with fines, licenses being suspended, going to jail, whatever the case may be. If they're taking the time out, taking that much effort, honestly, and this is between, me and y'all that's watching, and this is from a woman's perspective, and the same thing would be for a man, if a father was listening to this. But if a man is really seriously trying to do whatever that he could to not pay child support by not working, then you have to kind of question him as a man, because a man is built and created to provide. He's supposed to provide security. He's supposed to provide protection. He's supposed to do that. Even if he didn't have children, if it was just him and himself, or him and his spouse, or him and his girlfriend, if however their relationship is, that is what the purpose of a man is to be. That is why God created the man. So if he's not going to do that, if he's trying to avoid doing that out of child support, then you might want to start, I'm being honest with you, it made me look at his wife different. Because you're really gonna sit here and take care of this man so he can avoid paying child support. Nonetheless, but you have those who are not working, who actually cannot provide. They're actually physically going to look for a job because they want to be able to take care of themselves and their family. And, you know, with everything that's happened in the recession, sometimes it's been a long time for them to find employment. You don't go and beat them up because they can't find employment and they're not paying you child support. They're doing the best that they can with their job search to be able to provide for their children and themselves. Then that's something that you have to support. You know, as a woman, you have to support that and see the initiative that they are taking on their end. What was the other question I had? You all might want to start asking the question with, you know, the new child support law. If you had children, my son is a senior in high school now. He starts in August. If you have a child support order that says that, you know, my son turns 18 in October. He had that late birthday start. So he's going to be turning 18 before, like in a couple of months into his senior year in high school. So I know when I talked to someone there, I wanted him to be able to support him until he finished high school, because if I have to do it, he has to do it too. The child support shouldn't stop at age 18 if they're still in high school. So that should be a question that you ask with the new law. How is that going to impact your child or your children if they are still in high school, like if they're in their last year and they're going to be turning 18 right when right in the first semester of high school. So going back to those are questions that you need to ask. My thought in a different, you know, from a different standpoint, you know, again, I was listening to the AC Green show and how listeners were calling in. They were really upset because they really didn't feel like this was going to be benefiting them. But at the same time, he put a different spin on it. And this is something I want all women to pay attention to, because this is for the moms. Okay? I really want this to be an opportunity for you to really work on building a co-parenting relationship with your child's father. I will say that again. Let this be an opportunity for you to start building a relationship with your child's father, because that's basically what it's trying to make people do. When you have this law that is telling you that I'm going to hold both of you all accountable. It's no longer going to be about the dad, because you still, even though they're not saying that you're paying the child support before, because you are paying support for that child in your home. But at the same time, you have states that make moms come to court to show how they allocated those child support dollars. Illinois just hasn't done that yet. Or I don't know if they will ever do it, but they haven't done it yet. They're just now working on trying to restructure the law. So aside from the child support, and I'm telling you, nobody can speak to this more than I can, that in terms of what I know. I have gone there. I've been there before. Again, my son would be 18 in October. I have been through the charades and the games with figuring out how he's not going to pay child support and feeling like I'm dictating his paycheck and things of that sort. However, I myself was not going to interfere with the relationship that my son had with his dad. I know what it's not like to have a dad in my life, because my dad wasn't there. He just came into my life at the age of 34. He and I are building a wonderful relationship, and I had to work on forgiving him. But those first 34 years of my life are gone. And as a woman, I can only speak to how that impacts me as a woman, with the way that I would have made better decisions with men, how I could have valued myself from a different or a higher perspective as a woman. You don't want your child to grow up without their father. And a lot of times, let's be honest, unless the father poses some type of threat to the child, or you feel like the child is going to be unsafe with the father, you really, really have to just think about it. If you had sat down and had a conversation with the child's father, I would say more likely than not, the father wants to be there. He's pissed off because you guys had to go the route of child support. And now he's got the government taking money out of his check, dictating his pay. If you all could come to some type of consensus to where you can have a better strategy with how to financially support the child, that would be wonderful. That's what you want to do. You want to try to get rid of the anger, the bitterness, because a lot of times, moms, when we're holding on to that bitterness and that anger, that's what he did to us when we were in a relationship with him. You want to take all that emotion out, because it's not about you anymore. Take all the emotion out, take all the anger, the bitterness out, and sit down and say, you know what? Let's sit down and have a grown folk conversation, because we have to. We are adults. We are grown people trying to take care of this little person that we brought into the world that's not trying to do anything but grow, needs your love, guidance, and support. What can we do? This child support order is going to force you to do that. It's going to force you. If you don't see the opportunity in figuring out how to co-parent from this new law, that I honestly don't, unless you're one of those that one of the moms or the dads is in a situation where the other parent is like really trifling. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the ones that really want to be actively involved in their lives, and they've had a hard time trying to get through to the mom because the mom is bitter and upset, or dangling the child in their face where they can't spend time with them, or, you know, pissed off like, you didn't pay this child support. My child support check was $50 less than what it was last time, and I need to take you to court, so no, you can't get him this weekend, or she can't see you, or she can't talk to you, and blocking the number off the phones if the child has a cell phone. I mean, I'm gonna need y'all to, for real, I'm gonna need y'all to really be very conscious about those decisions that you are making, because it's not about you. It is about the impact that it's going to have on the child. Think about with how you were growing up, if your father was involved. Think about the support and the love and the guidance that your father gave you. Let's get the other stuff out the way. Let's not talk about child support. Let's talk about the relationship building, the mentoring, the love, again, the guidance, the support, the training, the stewardship that your father brought to you in your life. And if your father wasn't there, then think about how you would have made better decisions, how your life would have been. Now, after you think about that, now try to reflect that on your child. That's what your child is going to be missing out on, because you're holding and making decisions based off of your emotions. You want your child to be to where he or she is actively involved with the father. He's come to pick them up, to take them out. I don't care if it's for ice cream. I'm gonna tell you something. My son's dad used to, when we used to live maybe about 20 minutes east of here, when he would tell him he was picking him up for the weekend, my son would sit in that bay window looking for his dad to pull up. I mean, you couldn't tell him nothing. When he knew his dad was going to be there, it's like, Daddy's coming to pick me up. Okay, he would spend time with his dad. His dad would cultivate him and nurture him. And to this day, his dad has taught him all these things that I can't teach him as an African American male. I can't speak to those challenges. Some of the things that he's going to endure when he grows up. Some of the things that he's enduring now. I can't identify with that. He has to identify with that with his dad, and that is a pure relationship that he needs to have with him, that she needs to have with her first love, her dad. He wants to be there. He wants to provide. If he genuinely and sincerely wants to be actively involved in his child's life, don't deny him that because you got bitter feelings. And guess what? And I'm going to say another thing that might upset some people. If he's not paying child support, you still let him be with his kids. If he's going to be the best father, that is going to be the best example to his, you deal with the child support on the back end. Deal with the child support on the back end. Do not interfere with the relationship that your child should be having with the father. Again, my son's father did that, and they have the best relationship. They are cute. I mean, they have a really, and I'm telling you all, if you all know me, and you all that have met my son's dad, and you know when he's not me, he's with his dad. They have the best relationship. I'm irritated sometimes with not getting that financial support that I need, especially when I lost my job. I'm irritated with that. But I'm never, ever going to interfere and let my son feel like, and basically stop their communication and their involvement with each other because I'm not getting a penny from his dad. Everything else that his dad has taught him is priceless. Do you understand what I'm saying? Priceless. Everything from him learning how his dad went and he got a building to where him and my son went and they kind of cleaned it up and they built it up, which I thought was so cute. And he did a game room. He got a game room. He built it into a game room out there because he lives out in I'm not gonna say, he's 40 minutes away in the southwest suburbs. And after a year, after they did all this, and they ran through the dollars and the money and realized the financial statement stated that they couldn't continue on with the business. So they wound up folding, I think, a couple of months ago. My son would tell you that was first of all, that was his first working job he ever had. And when he was in wrestling, because he had a very hectic wrestling schedule, when they had to go on, when they had wrestling meets on Saturdays, unless it was like something that he absolutely had to be there and he had to go to work, he told his coach, I have to go and work. And it wasn't just I have to go to work. I have to go and work with my dad because my dad expects me to be there. They had the best relationship. And then when the business folded, my son got emotional because he's like, I work with my dad. And he said, my dad, I work with my dad to help build that place. And he was actually concerned about how this impacted his dad. Like, how does he feel about the fact that they had to fold this place? His dad has taught him how to cook. And I have also. His dad has taught him how to patch things up in the house when something if there's a hole in the wall, how to get that spackle and go over it with the paint. How to cut the grass. He's taught him how to build, how to fix. They did electrical work over there at their building. These are things that I can't teach him. I can't teach him. I can't teach him how to be a man. And this man stopped paying child support the regular way when he was 6 years old. I'm not going to tell him that he can't have a relationship with him because your dad's not paying me child support. That is a priceless, a sincere and authentic relationship that he needs to have to be guided as an African-American male from boy to man. So I'm not going to take that away from him. If he didn't have that, then my son's life and the way he makes decisions, the way he is around girls, the way he is with his decision to pursue other job offers, him being in school, you don't know how that might impact them when they're growing up. You just really want to make sure that you're not interfering whatever it is that you have between him. I'm sorry, I think my connection just stopped. Whatever it is that's going, I need to finish this up. Whatever is between you and him needs to stay between you and him. Just don't interfere with their relationship. Let this be an opportunity. So that being said, because I'm getting some issues with my connection, I want to let you know I am doing a 10-day challenge that starts tomorrow morning on how to have a better relationship with the other parent, the successful co-parenting strategies and techniques. I want you all to please get your friends involved. Share because it's going to be every day for the next 10 days in the morning. Share what I have, what I'm posting with your friends. Put it on your personal profiles. Put it in your groups so that people can see and understand and learn things that they can do to have a better relationship with the other father and their children. And I'm talking about, get them a card for Father's Day and have the child sign the card type of thing. Step out of yourself. It's not about you. Put your feelings off to the side. This is not about you. This is about your child, your daughter wanting to spend time with her daddy. Your son wanting to spend time with his dad. So I'm going to, again, this 10-day challenge starts tomorrow morning. I want, if you can, to participate, share your own stories. I want you to share, give me your feedback, share within your own personal groups, share on your own personal profiles, and share it in your own personal, in your business or personal Facebook groups. Again, a 10-day challenge, on how to have successful co-parenting techniques starts tomorrow. In addition to that, I wanted to just make a broadcast also that I will be at the Indianapolis Black Expo this Saturday and Sunday, selling the Single Mother Diaries. Volume 1, Volume 2 is being edited right now. And I have a speaking engagement coming up. It is the Regal Women's Conference, and that will be August 19th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Matson Holiday Inn. So you all please share this video. Share this video with people that you know. Hopefully it will resonate. I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to give you a hint. The very first 10-day challenge for day 1 is forgiveness. I talk about a very brief topic. I give you a very brief topic of what that day is going to be about. I give you a very brief synopsis. I even give you like a brief story of my own personal story. Then I give you a brief assignment that I want you to practice. From day 1 to day 10 is going to be rinse and repeat until you start seeing some results. And let me say this really quick. Part of that is also going to be how to understand how men think. Because while you're upset, feeling like, with this whole child support thing, having anger at him and he wants to be involved, there's a communication gap. So you need to learn what's making him feel like you're not supporting him, or making him feel like you're dictating, or you are pushing him away, and that's why he doesn't want to be. It really is not that he doesn't want to be actively involved. with them is that he doesn't want to go through you because he has an issue with you. So you have to figure out within yourself, how could I make this better? How can I not be to where I'm angry, I'm bitter, I'm taking my anger out on him because he cheated on me, or he wasn't making enough money for me, so I'm pissed off at him. I mean, all of that you need to the first day is forgiveness, and through this process we're going to learn how to think about how men process things, because men don't process things with emotions like we do. Take the emotion out and handle this as a I don't want to say business transaction, but as a responsibility between you and your son's father. And I think that when you start seeing how he thinks and how he wants to be there, but he's having some issues with you, and how you are coming off to him, how you are responding to certain things with him, and so he backs away, because men sometimes are intimidated by that conflict, how he backs away, I think you're going to start to adjust yourself and become a little bit more calmer and a little bit more willing to work with him and say, look, how can we do this together? I mean, pick his brain to get some thoughts, and you guys come to a consensus. I mean, really, this is something that I really want everybody to work on doing for the betterment of the child. So please, again, you're watching this, share this video within your connections and your groups, and then work on the 10-day challenge that starts tomorrow. This is Aria Craig, your empowerment and leadership strategist for single, blended, and divorced moms, signing off, and I hope to talk to you tomorrow. I want to see the feedback in the comments. Love you all. Bye.